Thrand here. I would like to thank everybody out there who's been going by Patreon and looking at all the raw footage that I uploaded as a special gift to all those who've been helping me throughout the years. I've got some different tier levels there too, different ranks and different material available. Don't worry much though if you're on YouTube. Eventually some of that stuff will be edited out in a more palatable manner for YouTube viewing. But if you want to enjoy it like I did, be sure and go by Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/Thrand and check out the raw footage. I think it's only like $1 a month. You can see most of it. Anyway, it's a bit windy today. I'm going to try to speak up and be loud, but we've got a unique subject. It's kind of like the humor from Matt Easton. What's better, Viking Axe, a large head, or long shaft? That's what we're going to ask ourselves today. Historically, you see axes very much like this. Some of them are broader bladed, known as the Dane axe. This was popular late century, 10th, 11th century Viking age. These axes were usually about 4 foot long. This one's 4 foot long here with an octagonal handle and a bearded axe head, which is a probable type of axe to have. This axe head here is heavy, but on a short handle. We use one-handed. It gets its power having a short handle, but from a heavier head, which is about the same weight as this head here. Then we have this handle here, which this axe came on it, and you have a Nordic style axe head, but we've altered it and put a longer oak handle. Now, the question would be, a light head on a long handle, yes, it's harder to focus to get on target, depending on how broad the head is. So a broader head allows for more cutting activity and an easier strike with the head of the axe. But a smaller, narrow head, like you see a lot of times on the one-handed axes, has more penetrating ability. And we know this from testing. But as you see in the fantasy novels and stuff, like you see orcs in World of Warcraft and stuff like that, or Warcraft carrying big old heavy axes on the end of a big long pole, a long shaft with a big heavy head. No one did that unless it was a headsman's axe, unless you were trying to cut trees down, and that's why those are used to this day with wedge heads for splitting logs and heavier axes with shorter handles for accuracy and using the weight of the axe, because trees don't move, humans move, so you need more speed and a lot of times reach. So the lighter head, longer handle generates the same type of energy as a heavier head with a shorter handle. Maybe not this short compared to this one, but it generates the same amount of energy. So what we're going to do today is test that theory out. I'm going to be trying to cut with this bearded axe. It's like this bearded axe here, except it's, I think it might be a hair head on a really short handle compared to a two-handed Dane style axe. And we'll also try the one-handed, long-handled Nordic style axe here. And these axe heads, these two here were provided by a medieval shop. I'd like to do a shout out to them. By the way, I've got another shipment coming in from them soon, so we'll have some new swords to test out, which would be great. Let's get started, and we're going to try with the smaller and work our way up and find out which is truly better, the big head or the light head, long shaft. So short shaft, big head, long shaft, light head. What I've done is I've set up a special analog. We cut these heavy, thick bottles, and even with water in them, sometimes they've been known to turn edges. This is way thicker than a milk carton or anything like that. It's material very similar to that. It's like an ABS plastic, but it's not thick as what people use as armor grade stuff that people make plastic armor. But it's pretty thick, and we've got our 20% Recon Ballistics gel, and we've got our common PVC that we use to represent bone in our analog heads. The reason I'm not doing this with a head is most axes will pierce the skull, even the shorter ones, and I'm trying to toughen this up. I'm trying to make something that gives us a gauge to see if there's a difference in the cutting ability. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm going to cover it with 6 layers of our linen. This is a linen Gambeson type material. I'm only doing 6 layers because it could just be heavy layers of clothing or garments that somebody might be wearing. I'm not going to overdo it, but I'm going to put this on here, and this is what we're going to test on. Like I said, we have our analog here. It is ballistic gelatin within one of our heavy, thick bottles that we cut in a lot of videos. And it's, like I said, it's been known to turn edges at times if you're not hit just right on. And the 20% ballistic gelatin with the PVC pipe to go clean through it will be a challenge. I'm hoping that this shows some kind of disparity in the cuts to see which one is more powerful. I'm going to start off with the heavy head. Like I said, this head is heavy with a hammer on the back. It can be used for woodworking and for combat. It could be on a slightly longer handle, but it's quite heavy for the style of axe it is. So we've got a light, sharp shaft or handle and a heavy head. This could be used in combat, but I'm going to go see what it does hitting this bottle. Just casting it out, and the bottle can move. So let's see if we can actually cut into it. I'll stand if I'm standing with the sheet. Whoa, we popped our cap. Looks like we impacted it greatly, but that's about it. Let's go ahead and try that again without the cap. I don't think the cap's going to stay on there very long. We know to cut this, you usually have to use a tip style cut, but let's try one more time. Our axe does have a sharp edge. Did not make it through. Let's go ahead and crank this up a notch. Now this is a long handle with a lighter head. That means I'm going to have a lot more reach if I was behind a shield. You can choke up on it if needed to get the shard range, as long as you don't choke too far or get in your way, and still be able to use the axe. Let's go ahead and see what happens with this one. Definitely would like to have more impact. Let's see if we made it through and all. Yes! We actually made it into the gel. Let's see where I hit the fabric. I'm pretty sure that cut through the fabric. But we have an actual cut into the jug without it. And remember, this head is lighter on a longer handle, so you have more speed, but the leverage is causing the extra damage. So I want to try that again. I do believe that could be our cutting area. We'll make sure I don't hit the same spot on the bottom. Oh, you can feel that. What this appears to be doing, to be honest, I'm not going to lie, I think we're rupturing the bottle from the impact, whereas the other one was unable to rupture it, although it's not cutting through the cloth because we're hitting the flat blade. So, we may not need the cloth for this heavy of a setup, to be honest. I will try tip cutting just to see if that makes a difference, and I think it will on this fabric. Cut a little too nicked, but we went clean through. And as usual, to cut the actual Gambeson, you have to use the tip of the axe, like I've spoke of many times before, with this lighter rig, because this is moving way more than a body would. This would be more equal to, I would say, a leg or something. Ooh. That might have been a good tip cut. Our Gambeson is certainly doing its job against the axe, but the impact is so great it's splitting it open. Let's see if we can get this off of here. It looks like the main damage we did was from the main blunt force impact, and it just basically busted into the bottom. Let's go ahead and up this to our two-handed Dane axe. And I've advocated this for years, that the handle The handle is what the weight's in. This piece of wood here alone, this octagonal piece of wood that I'm using, would have done damage on its own, just hitting with the wood itself to a person that's unarmored or just from the impact. The head is not extremely heavy. Like I said, this could almost be used as a one-handed axe easily. I like to thank Waylon for helping me sharpen it up. But I've always said it's almost like a bladed staff. I mean, almost that type of pole arm. You've got a long pole. It does have kind of a heavy head to cause some damage added to the end of the long pole, so it doesn't take as much weight to generate the same amount of energy. When I use this two-handed and I cut, I wonder what's going to happen. Oh! Can't tell if that went clean through. We did a lot of damage to our actual jug, but I hit a hair high. We need to hit a little bit lower, and we shall see what happens. You could definitely see the difference in impact and how the target behaved. Let's go without the Gambeson now and retest our actual axes. This axe was able to go clean through and it split our bones. So if this was in a leg without the 6 layers of cloth, that would be your effect. Not bad at all. Oh. This axe was able to go through the plastic again at a different level and clean out the back side. So this axe is definitely generating a lot more energy. To where we don't have multiple targets. Next time I do this, I think I shall try to make more than one of these. Now let's find a good fresh spot with lots of gel. Make sure we have, I'll push that way down in there so we have a new bone to cut. And let's see what happens. Oh! Yeah. The longer handle and leverage makes a big amount of difference. If you see what it actually did to the target, and cutting through it one more time, where I had shoved it back down, it cut it again the second time. So that was quite impressive. The whole difference here is, remember, these two axes weigh about the same amount. The only difference is the length of the handle and the weight of the handle. Long, heavy shaft, light head. Not as broad as could be, so it has a little piercing ability. If it was a broader head, it'd be better for cutting, much like a sword. This one here, about the same breadth on the blade, about the same weight, very close, maybe a hair heavier. Short, light handle, heavy head. Those two are options that work historically. But a lot of times, the longer handle was preferred. With this head, that is only a hair lighter than this one. You've got a light head and a long handle. The handle's not all that heavy either on this. I mean, it's an oak handle, but it's quite lightweight. It's still generating way more energy than this one in its cutting ability. Although this one was able to actually reach the bone and shatter it. This one was able to go clean through again at a different level and shatter the bone and cut out the back side, embedding itself in. So if you look at it, have extremely heavy axes on long handles that you see in fantasy. I don't think those would be preferable in any type of combat historically. I'm going to test the war hatchet on a piece of mesquite. This is the heaviest head on the shortest, lightest handle. That's about what we're doing with it. Each blow is cutting in, I'd say, a good quarter inch. Nordic axe, 2.5 foot handle. significantly deeper cuts. I'd say a good ½ inch or so. The others look like they're in about maybe quarter inch, ½ inch. These are all going in extremely deep to about a ½ inch. I'll hit it another time or so. Nice cuts, you can definitely feel the difference in the power when hitting it. This is a lighter head. Okay, I'm going to check out a regular wood chopping axe. This is one we used a long time ago that we did for Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, if anybody ever remembered that cheesy review we did. I'll go ahead and throw a couple of hits with this and see what it does. Definitely a lot more power and bounce. You see it bouncing off the plastic and we've got a much deeper cut. Mind you, I am swinging straight down. But it's not very much different. I'd say over an inch in. Okay, now we're going to use our Dane axe. This is a bearded style, not the classic S style, the Peterson S, the big beaked and horned axe, which is a much broader blade. This should have more piercing ability. It's an extremely light head. I'm going to do the same kind of thing from a longer distance and see how it cuts. And if you look at what's going on here, we're getting cuts as deep, if not deeper, than the heavy axe and the shorter handle. I'll try to hit it in an area I haven't hit so we can get a better view, because this is probably the most telling view of the other one is right here. You could tell it went in at least an inch. These blows are all going in, I would say, at least an inch. It's harder to tell because of the broadness of the blade and where it's hitting. This is green mesquite with very hard wood, and we're getting in at least an inch. And the power is extreme. So as you can see, a longer handle with a light head can produce the same amount of energy as a heavy head with a short handle, except this is a lot quicker in battle. The power can be generated if needed, but you also have the reach, and you can choke up if necessary, maybe not delivering the same power blow, but you would still have the ability to move quickly and rapidly and fast, parry blows and recovering shots back. You can swing the full length, or you can choke up cutting in closer. So I think it's superior to have a long, heavy shaft and lighter head than have a short, lighter handle with an extremely heavy head. That's more for wood cutting and woodwork. Anyway, thought I would throw this in just to have a little better medium to compare it to as well. When chopping wood, the longer handle can simplify it all. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and as always, farewell.